Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Ready for some new drama from Askalawyer? Let's go to the first one. About OP's father, who is furious OP and her brother didn't share money they have received from OP's late mother's family with his new family, so he can pay his stepkids' medical bills. Listen to the story to find out all the details, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My mom died when my brother and I were really young kids. My brother is 20 now, and I'm 18 male, and just moved into a friend's house. Dad got married to Lisa and helped raise her 3 kids, and they had 2 of their own. One of Lisa's kids has a lot of complex medical issues, and 5 years ago was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. Between the medical conditions her kid has, and then the cancer, money was extremely tight. My brother and I had an uncle who would send us money for food and stuff for the 2 of us. But my dad's family weren't able to help as much, and Lisa's mom is in a nursing facility, so she couldn't help. My brother and I were told by our uncle a few years ago that there was a savings account set up for both of us, and that it was money for us to go to college or buy homes with, and we'd have access to it in the future. He made us aware of the money sooner in case we ever needed it. The account started with my mom, and was the earnings she made from a family business she was part of. Then, when my grandparents sold their business before they died, our mom's share was divided between my brother and me. Then, our inheritance from them was added. My dad learned about the money when my brother could afford a car and move off campus and into a house that was pretty big for 3 college kids. He asked, and my brother told him he had some savings. He asked me about it directly, and I told him we had some money from our mom. I didn't tell him how much, but I figure he had a good guess, because he went off on one. He said that money could have helped when Lisa's kid was fighting cancer, and we needed money. He told me things were dire on more than one occasion, and they were getting food from charities because they didn't have the money to pay. He asked how we could have been so selfish, and did we realize we could have paid for some trial they wanted Lisa's kid to undergo during the cancer fight. He said we could have told him about the money, and he could have used some of it to keep us all afloat and safe, and maybe have cured his stepkid's cancer. It all came down to me being selfish. Gotta ask if he's right, because I kinda do feel bad about lying to my dad. It was just my brother and I were taken care of by our uncle, and it felt wrong to use my mom and grandparents' money to pay for stuff for my dad's new family. My parents were in the process of divorcing when mom died, and her family didn't get along with my dad. Am I the a-hole? I get that OP's dad had a rough time, but OP's mom started those accounts to secure a financial future for her kids. Maybe it could have helped, but there's no guarantee that a trial could cure cancer, or that the extra money would have solved the problems. OP's mother did not make those accounts to provide for OP's father and his new life. And OP likely would not have been given the money early if it was solely to keep OP's father afloat. OP's mom's family did provide him assistance by making sure he didn't have to worry about feeding OP and his brother. That's a kindness already, that they really didn't have to do. OP's father should be thankful he had any help at all, and not make OP feel guilty for having some security for his future. He should be happy that 2 of his kids are secure. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Janet in Spain says, "Not the a-hole. Your mom left that money to you. It was not a bank account for the whole family. Yeah, it's tough that they had to get financial help, but that's not your fault nor responsibility." Alternative Rub says, "Not the a-hole. That money is for you and your brother. He chose this life with Lisa that came with some financial burden, and either way, it's not your responsibility." Flaky Burnt says, "Not the a-hole. That was your inheritance from your mom's side. Your dad shouldn't have seen it as the answer to his and Lisa's money trouble. I think your uncle should have kept track of how you guys were doing without telling you about the money until you were 18. That's a big burden to put on a kid." A bit of context. This coming year, I'm turning 40. My partner and I have been talking about a trip away for a long time. For context, he makes about twice what I make. We do live together, and I pay less rent but do most of the cooking and dishes and laundry. We've been together for 3 years, and only once had he celebrated my birthday by taking me to lunch and walking the mall with me. The year before, we went out to dinner and I paid. No card, no flowers, no cake, nothing to open. Christmas, same thing. He did promise me a gorgeous 14K necklace last year, but that didn't happen. I've booked weekends away at Airbnbs for his birthday. I've spent over 60 hours on a handmade blanket because his last apartment was always cold. He has piles of gifts on Christmas morning and an overflowing stocking, and I didn't have a thing. Not one. He didn't seem to understand why I was hurt by this. The gifts I'd asked for previously include a blanket fort to watch movies and cuddle. and when I discovered he is a very talented writer, I asked him to write our first date as an essay or short story. I never got either. So when he started talking about places to go for my birthday, I got excited. We've discussed Vegas, a short cruise, an all-inclusive ranch in Colorado, among other places. Tonight, while looking at prices of hotels and resorts, he said, "Whatever you want." I replied with, "Well, I'm trying to be kind to your wallet." And he said, "But you're going to contribute to it." I said I wasn't. He said that didn't seem right to him, that I should definitely contribute. I said I disagreed, and for my birthday, I didn't think I should have to pay. But if I did, then I'd be going on vacation by myself. The way I see it, if I'm paying for a vacation on my birthday, I don't want to have to cater to him or anyone else for even one moment. Now he's feeling put out, and I don't feel like I'm doing anything unreasonable. So am I the a-hole here? I really don't understand why OP is in a relationship with someone who takes Christmas gifts from her, but doesn't buy her anything. OP is in the wrong here if she stays with him and expects him to magically change. OP needs to get some self-respect and find a partner who shares her values and listens to her. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Suspicious Grand 9781 says, "Why is he your boyfriend after 3 years? Find someone who is going to ruin your lipstick, not your mascara." Helpful Hour 1984 says, "Not the a-hole, but good grief, woman. Your boyfriend is an entitled jerk who doesn't even get you a birthday card while you shower him with thoughtful gifts on his birthday and Christmas. Your division of costs and chores in the household is also messed up. In a genuine partnership, expenses are divided proportionally to the income, while chores are divided proportionally to the time available after working hours. You're paying less rent. I don't know by how much, but since he makes twice as much as you, he should be paying 2/3 of the rent. Do you work the same hours? If yes, then the house chores should be divided equally, regardless of income. You're 40. You should know your worth by now. So either you think this is it and accept the way your boyfriend treats you, or you dump his stingy butt and find a man who will treat you better, or be prepared to stay single and treat yourself like you feel you deserve." Princess Soprano says, "Not the a-hole, but stop doing special things for his birthday and holidays if you are going to choose to stay with him. Are there any other ways he shows that he cares? It sounds like he's getting more out of this relationship than you are." My husband of 3 years passed away 4 years ago due to a tragic car accident involving a drunk driver. We have a 4-year-old son together who was only 1 at the time. I'm 28 years old. He was my high school sweetheart, and I'll love him until the day I die. I have no contact with my bio family. I love his mom and everyone in his family very much. It's also like they adopted me. I don't remember not spending a holiday with them since I was 16. I remained very close with my ex-husband's family even after his death, especially his mother. I grieved my husband for over a year before I would even consider dating. I met a guy through work, and even though we took it slow, we became close, fast, and he has added tremendous happiness in my life when I thought it was pretty much over. We got engaged and moved in together last year, and spent the holidays alone with just us and my son. His mom and dad passed away, and he doesn't have any close family either. My mother-in-law was really devastated that she didn't see my son during Thanksgiving, so I dropped him off for Christmas Eve. I wasn't happy about not spending it with him, and then for Christmas, my mother-in-law was pretty unhappy about all of us being split up as well. She knows about my current relationship and has met him. She really likes him, and she's happy for us. She asked us if we would consider spending the holidays with them this year, so she can get to know him and also spend time with my son. She really hates the holidays without him, and she assured me it wouldn't be problematic. We agreed and went for Thanksgiving. Everything and everyone was great, and my fiancé actually got along great with all the cousins, aunts, uncles, and even my ex's dad. He really loved it because he hasn't had that since his parents passed away. Problem happened with my ex-husband's younger brother. He was not happy at all and found it really disrespectful. He called me today and chewed me out and accused me of disgracing my ex's memory and that I should be ashamed. His words really hurt me because those were not my intentions. I really just wanted to feel like a whole family again. He said I should have asked him, and I guess he's right. I called my mother-in-law, and she was upset when I said we should sit Christmas out or give her son more time to grieve. She said that she wants us over and that it's her home, she's inviting us, and that my fiancé will become family, so he has to get used to it eventually if he wants a relationship with his nephew. Her husband also agrees and said that he had a great time with my fiancé, and the rest of the family only had positive things to say. I'm conflicted because I don't want to hurt younger brother. Everyone grieves differently, and I don't want to make it harder. At the same time, my fiancé and I really enjoyed going over and seeing the family. Would I be the a-hole if I went over for Christmas if I warned brother about it first? OP's mother-in-law invited OP to her home for the holidays. Younger brother is obviously still grieving, and that's totally understandable. However, he needs to understand that if he still lives with OP's mother-in-law, she's in charge of the house and can have over whoever she wants. If it were me, I would tell fiancé to kind of let younger brother's comments roll off his back and go anyways. OP's mother-in-law was already upset about not getting to spend the holidays with OP, and it sounds like OP wants to spend the holidays with her. Why deprive yourselves of that? And now let's hear the community's opinion. Toes14 says, "Not the a-hole. Your in-laws want you there. Everyone wants you there. You want to be there. The only stick in the mud is the brother, and he'll just have to get over it. You can't please everyone all of the time. So please most of them by showing up, and let your in-laws deal with their son." Dazed and Confused says, "Not the a-hole. Your mother-in-law is the one who invited you. You have every right to go. Your brother-in-law's reaction is also understandable, but he should know by now people move on. You're not being disrespectful in any way." Typical Aquarius says, "No a-holes. This is just tricky territory. Ultimately, you need to weigh how upset the brother seems versus your child missing Christmas with their grandparents." I got married 2 weeks ago, and during the reception, I kicked out my parents and my aunt and uncle. As you can imagine, it was not well received, and now I want to know if I was the a-hole. Some background. My aunt, dad's sister, married my uncle before I was born. He was a widower with a 6-year-old, 4-year-old, and 3-year-old. His first wife died after the birth of the youngest. They've been married for 30 years now. My aunt's stepkids never called her mom, don't treat her like a mom, and there's been drama galore since the day they said I do. It's something everyone in our family hears about endlessly. More so now because all 3 of them have children and are married, and my aunt is not welcome to be part of any of that. Never was. It's something that has caused a lot of tension over the years. One time we were at a birthday thing for my uncle, and because the youngest showed up to drop off a gift and run, it turned into my aunt crying and my uncle yelling, and the owner coming in to ask us to settle down. During my wedding reception, we were made aware of the fact that my parents, as well as aunt and uncle, were sitting at my in-laws' table and divulging everything to them, and it was making them uncomfortable. I went over to try and shut it down, but when I got there, my aunt was telling them all this really upsetting stuff, and my mother-in-law was asking her to stop, but she and my mom continued. I asked them to stop, and they ignored me. I tried to explain that it wasn't the time or the place. Then my dad goes off on this rampage about it. I told them if they couldn't behave, they needed to leave. My father-in-law gave me the look of "help us." It was only after I found out my uncle had followed him to the men's room to keep things going just minutes before. I got security to make them leave. My uncle, dad and aunt's brother, was relieved they were gone, but some other extended family said they should not have been kicked out over something so minor. Am I the a-hole? Spirited Lie 964 says, "Definitely not an a-hole. I have a legion of friends with full permission to forcibly remove anyone causing drama on my wedding day from the premise. My family is known for their drama and BS, and I won't tolerate it on my day." Bowser's mom says, "Not the a-hole. They could have adjusted their behavior at any point to remain at your celebration. They chose to bombard their new family members with old drama instead." Disgruntled Pelican 54 says, "Not the a-hole. They were literally trying to start their own drama at your wedding and making guests visibly uncomfortable. It's a reasonable expectation that adults can keep the peace for one evening and not spoil a special occasion." I know already from the title I sound like the a-hole, but here's the backstory. I, 28 female, and my sister, 37 female, have always been close. However, due to a disease, I'm completely infertile, as in 0% chance of ever having a biological child. I've always wanted children, and was absolutely gutted when I found out my husband and I wouldn't have the opportunity to have children of our own. My older sister has a 2-year-old daughter, and I've always been nothing but very excited for her. I found out I couldn't have children the same month she found out she was pregnant. I didn't bring it up, and even though I was jealous, I was absolutely ecstatic for her. I threw her baby shower, was there for her birth, helped her babysit when she and her husband were exhausted. Around the time my niece was 6 months old, I finally told her about my infertility. She said she was sorry I was dealing with that, but adoption is always an option. Now, flash forward 2.5 years later, and my sister is struggling with age-related fertility complications. She texts, calls, and spends all of our meetups as a method to commiserate about infertility. She hired one of the leading fertility specialists in the country and is devastated at the prospect of having to do IVF. I do feel bad, and I'm a receptive listener. However, I find it a bit insensitive that she's complaining to me constantly about fertility when she A. already has one biological child, B. has the medical option and financial ability to do IVF, and C. told me it's not the same if I adopt because I need my children to be biological siblings. I'm not proud of it, but I snapped and told her to read the room, and I wasn't happy with listening to her constant complaining about it, and she should either be grateful for the daughter she has or use the advice she gave me and adopt a child. Needless to say, she was furious, went crying to our mother, and now my mother is non-stop calling, saying I need to apologize because my sister has it worse since she has a child and knows what she's missing out on by struggling with fertility, while I can't mourn something I've never experienced. So infertility really isn't as hard for me to deal with. I hung up, haven't apologized, and am now extricating myself from the situation because I think we both need time to calm down. So am I the a-hole here? Givalti says, not the a-hole. What insensitive idiots! We Are All Me says, not the a-hole. What's wrong with your sister? How can anyone be so unsympathetic? Like top-grade self-centered. Your mom, on the other hand, seems completely delusional. There must be some screws loose in her head. What she said doesn't make sense at all. Mom and sister are major a-holes, no doubt about that. Dependent Dangerous 28 says, not the a-hole. Your sister knows you are going through worse because you cannot even have a child at all, and she has one. Your ma is also an a-hole. She should have a good word with your sister and then herself.